white American gun owner, and I have something to say. As far as the part about being white, well, I'm not ashamed of that, but I'm also not proud of it because I had nothing to do with it. I was born that way and wasn't really consulted about it ahead of time. So I feel no pride and I feel no guilt in something that was just an accident of birth. As for being an American, well, that's because I was born here and hadn't decided to leave. And I understand that I have a lot of advantages from being born here as compared to a lot of people born in other places. But I don't think that those other people are of less value or have fewer rights than I do just because they were born somewhere else. You see, I'm one of those crazy kooks who wants freedom and justice for everyone, everywhere. And the reason I'm a gun owner is because I understand that the day may come when I may be one of the people who has to create and defend freedom and justice for everyone. And by the way, law and order is not the same thing as justice. Law and order has been used as an excuse for authoritarian oppression throughout history. Freedom is justice. And I hate to break it to a bunch of my fellow white American gun owners, but referring to the United States as a free country at this point is kind of ridiculous. Are there worse places? Absolutely. But should our standard be that we will proudly put up with authoritarian garbage as long as it's worse somewhere else? No, that is stupid and cowardly. So you may be wondering, which side am I on regarding these protests or riots or police actions or whatever? Well, I already told you, I am on the side of freedom and justice. That means I am on the side of the innocent victim, always. And I am against the aggressors, always. That means that when badge-wearing thugs are harassing, intimidating, assaulting, and murdering nonviolent people, I am on the side of the victims, not the aggressors. It also means that when looters and vandals are stealing or destroying private property, I am still on the side of the victims, not the thugs and thieves. Right now, a lot of people seem to be arguing over which set of aggressors and thugs they should be cheering for, which is idiotic, and it's exactly what the ruling class wants to see. If you support the police when they do evil crap and then lie about it and try to cover for each other and try to get away with it, that doesn't make you a good person. Good people oppose that. And if you support looters and rioters whose misplaced anger gets taken out on anyone or anything that happens to be around them, harming innocent people in the process and destroying their property, that doesn't make you a good person. Good people oppose that. The political opportunists want you to pick sides between the cops and the looters instead of having enough principles to oppose both when they act as immoral thugs. And yes, government infiltrators and instigators keep getting caught trying to make peaceful protests into violent riots so they have an excuse to crack down on them. Please don't fall for that. If you have principles and apply them to all people in all situations, then such tricks and manipulations won't work on you.
This is another video from the protest on Sunday, May 31st in Spokane, Washington. As a cop watcher, I saw this as my time to shine. I started by documenting the names of all the order followers who would more than likely be using aggression against non-violent protesters at some point later in the day. I'll show that part in a third video, where I also talked to some citizens there on this side of the line. People can call this what they want, but when you get down to it, this is about police brutality against non-violent people. It has become accepted by the public throughout this country and repeatedly found justified by the ruling class. These clips are of the Spokane police starting to ramp up their aggression and keep these non-violent protesters from moving through a publicly accessible area where others more sympathetic to order followers were allowed. Plain and simple, this was a non-violent protest against them, and they drew an imaginary line declaring speech of a certain kind was no longer allowed beyond said line. They used force to back up their insistence on this imaginary line separating members of the community based on words, speech. My purpose, as mentioned before, was to be a cop watcher, documenting their behavior during the protest. In addition, I was there as an anarchist who cares about other members of my community. And as you'll hear Larkin Rose clarify in the closing part of his video, which I'll show after my clips of the protest, I was there to stand up to acts of aggression against nonviolent people with force if necessary. Whether those acts of aggression be from masked looters using aggression to destroy and loot nearby stores, making victims out of nonviolent store owners and employees, or that aggression is carried out by armed order followers of the state using aggression to stop the speech of nonviolent protesters like you're about to see. As always, links to my sources are in the description. I encourage you to go watch and check out the full version of Larkin Rose's video I highlighted here. Remember to upvote, cross-post, subscribe, and even leave me a comment with your thoughts. But remember to always focus on freedom and justice, not restriction of those.
Our life matters. Our life matters. You all right? Our life matters. You got your little sister. You all right? Don't take me. That's chill. If I got any black coffee, you're gonna fucking shoot me and hurt me. All right,
Easy! He's not resisting! Easy!
not resisting.
He's scared! He's scared!
I know what's going on.
Good job.
It's okay, Michael. I got real good at it. You know.
Why can't she be there, Vaughn? Why can't she be there, Vaughn? Who's she hurting? Why can't she be there? It's a public parking lot. Why can you guys be there and she can't? Is this not a public area?
Telling me I can't stand here. He's telling me.
Come on, why can't she stand here? Is this not a public parking lot? Is this not accessible to the public?
It is if you pay to be in.
Then why, well, did you guys pay to be in here?
No, we're working.
Then why can't we be in here?
He's telling me I can't stand here. He's telling me I can't stand here.
This is our city.
Everybody should cross this. Where's the cow?
Look, guys, we are peaceful. Weapons. We are peaceful. This is public.
What's it gonna
Public.
And you're a faggot.
Spread this distance. We're gonna hold this line. We got CRT coming. Hey, just for our safety and yours, do you mind taking like 3 steps back? It's for
Why
our
is
safety.
your safety more important than ours?
For our safety and yours.
Why can't you guys take 3 steps back?
Because we're here for the
We're
safety
here.
of
You
the community.
take. So are we. You take 3 steps back. Who thinks they should take 3 steps back?
Take 3 steps back, fucker.
Why should I take 3 steps back?
Why shouldn't you? We're the ones who
What matters? I'm standing here with her. I'm helping her. She stood here, and I'm making sure she
He
is
said I
okay.
couldn't stand on public property. He said I couldn't. What are you doing over there? Hey, what's going on over there? Hey, bro, what's up with that?
Right? Yes, brother. Yes. Yes. Take off your badge and stand with us. Take off your badge and stand with us. Why are you using force against her? Don't use force against her. Stop using force. Stop using force.
Step back.
Stop using force. I haven't moved. I haven't moved. I haven't Step back, please.
Why are you
Please,
touching
step
me?
back.
I have not moved.
Step back. I've asked you nicely.
Why
Step
can't
back.
you step
I've
back?
asked you to step
Why
back,
can't you
please.
step back? Are you gonna put me in a cage? Are you gonna put me in a cage if I don't? Is that ethical?
A few moments later.
Hey, man. Get your hands off her! Get your hands off her! Get your hands off her! Why? It's a public parking lot! It's a public parking lot! Get your hands off her! Hey, dude, they started, man. They put their hands on it. It's a public parking lot. Why can't she walk through? If they wouldn't have put their hands on her, none of this would have. I came over because they put their hands on her. I thought everybody was gonna march. I thought so too, but they put their hands on her, man. We go tell her real quick. They can take off their badges and be one of us, just like you, man. Then it all changes. They're sticking up for the corporation, though. They're sticking up for the corporation instead of being one of the people.
I don't give a damn where you were born or what color you are. I want freedom and justice for you. Right now, the government and a hell of a lot of cops are the enemy of freedom and justice. And that makes them my enemy. And of course, private thugs and thieves are also my enemy. That's how principles work. Keep your mind focused enough to remember who the real enemy is. You can't identify him by skin color or where he comes from or how he talks. You can identify him by his actions. If he commits or condones aggression against innocents, then he is the enemy of freedom and justice, whether his thuggery is called vandalism or law enforcement. If, on the other hand, he uses his words and actions to oppose such aggression, then he is an ally of freedom and justice. And that is true whether such defensive force is done by somebody with a badge or by somebody who gets called a criminal or an anarchist for illegally opposing legalized injustice. On that note, let me finish this up by saying that in addition to being a white armed American, I'm also an anarchist. And contrary to the BS that you'll hear in the mainstream media, no, that does not mean that I smash windows and throw Molotov cocktails around. It means that I think that you own yourself and that you do not need and should not have any ruler stealing the fruits of your labor or controlling your life. It means that I think that you and everyone else should be free from all thugs and thieves, including the ones that wear uniforms and call their thuggery and their thievery law. It means that I want a society with no masters and no slaves.
Thanks for supporting my channel and work. Links to all the platforms you can find questionable authority on are in the description below. And there's lots of ways to help me grow and dedicate more time to this channel. Of course, links to PayPal, Dash, Bitcoin, and others are listed. But you don't have to part with your capital to support me. There are ways like downloading the privacy-minded Brave browser using my link below and using it for 30 days, or sign up for a new Hive or Steam account and earn cryptocurrency for yourself for doing what you already do on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and at the same time, I'll earn crypto for your upvotes and comments.